What's happening, people? This is what you need. We haven't talked in a long while, so I got a lot of catching up to do. Obviously, we're going to talk about the fights. We're also going to talk about some of the current events in boxing. Of course, I'm not up to speed with those, but I can tell you about the fights. So that's what we're going to talk about. And we're getting right into it one time. One time, baby. We're rolling into this one time. So let's go all the way back to March the 13th. And March 13th fights, we had Jessica McCaskill versus Cecilia Brækhus. As you do remember, I said that this particular fight for me was a 50-50 fight, but I went with Cecilia Brækhus. It was a close enough fight where split decision where it could have gone either way. The judge decided to give it to Jessica McCaskill, but it was a close fight. All right. Let's talk about Roman Gonzalez versus Francisco Estrada. I had Roman Gonzalez. I was picking Roman Gonzalez to win. Francisco Estrada started off the fight very well, and for a good many rounds was doing very well. And then Roman Gonzalez got into the fight, and he was in there. Some people think that Roman Gonzalez won that fight, but again, Juan Francisco Estrada won that fight by split decision, and so he is now the WBC WBA super flyweight champion of the world. When it comes to Hiroto Kawaguchi versus Axel Aragon Vega, I had picked Aragon Vega actually to win. And in fact, he was winning the fight, in my opinion. He was going to the body. He was really making Hiroto Kawaguchi very uncomfortable. And then he threw what looked like a right hook, and it hit Hiroto Kawaguchi on the top of the head. And I think he broke his hand. And so by default, Hiroto Kawaguchi won that fight in round 5. But he was really putting the heat on Hiroto Kawaguchi. I hope they do have a rematch because that's a good fight. David Benavidez versus Ronald Ellis. Let's talk a little bit about that fight. That fight was a good fight as well. It was a good fight as well. Ronald Ellis actually put up a better fight than I thought he was going to put up. So I gotta give him his props for that. In fact, he was going toe to toe with David Benavidez for most of the rounds. David Benavidez got the stoppage. The referee, I thought, prematurely stopped the fight, but nonetheless, that's just my opinion. The referee came in and threw in, got in between Ronald Ellis and Benavidez. Ellis was still blocking a lot of the punches. He was getting tagged up, though, a lot more later on in the fight. But good fight, good defensive fight. Benavidez even congratulated Ronald Ellis, put on a hell of a performance. You can tell Ronald Ellis was just all in, well hydrated, everything like that. You know what I mean? So that fight also was a good fight. Let's catch up to speed. We're trying to catch up to speed with today's fight. So I'm just going to talk about it. Now, who I picked to win that fight was David Benavidez, obviously. Virgil Ortiz versus Mauricio Hooker. I had Virgil Ortiz winning by stoppage. Okay, and true to form, it did end up that way. He also dropped Maurice Hooker, I believe. I can't remember which round it was, but he dropped him. And anyway, the point is, he stopped Maurice Hooker with what looked like a body shot. He was getting to Maurice Hooker. Maurice Hooker was trying to keep the distance, keep range, and Virgil Ortiz was cleverly getting to the inside and working the body of Maurice Hooker. And it was a matter of time. Now, having talked about those fights, sorry, my bad, Virgil Ortiz versus Maurice Hooker, right, which was on DAZN. I had on the undercard of the Chocolatito fight, which was the week before. We had Austin Williams versus Dennis Hoagland, which went the distance, but Austin Williams really put a beating on Dennis Duggan, sorry, not Hogan, Dennis Duggan, mama's boy. But two southpaws going at it is very rare to see, and very surgical Austin Williams. I think if he wasn't so excited and trying to just throw a whole bunch of flurries on Dennis Duggan, pick the shots a little bit more, he'd have got him out of there, but he didn't. All right, and that was 8 rounds. Let's talk about now more current event fights. So not too long ago, over this weekend here, Amanda Serrano faced Daniela Bermuda, right? And Daniela Bermuda, for those of you who don't know, she was minimum weight, flyweight, light flyweight, what else? Not bantamweight, but she was she was a bantamweight champion, right? Bantamweight, super bantamweight. No, I think she's flyweight. Is three divisional world champion. She was a flyweight, I think, super flyweight, and bantamweight, super bantamweight champion. Okay, she's all those things. Argentinian fighter, really good pressure fighter. She's more of a pressure fighter, and she took on Amanda Serrano in what was a hotly contested fight in which Amanda Serrano had the advantage. She was the sharper fighter. On top of that, Amanda Serrano was dictating with her jab, with pivoting to her right, so she always had lead for dominance. So Amanda Serrano basically had control of that fight for most of the fight. But later on in the fight, Bermudez, Daniela Bermudez, she was starting to get to her. However, Serrano was just too much for her. Nonetheless, Daniela Bermudez was game. And this is what Serrano's defense of her WBC, WBA, IBF featherweight titles that she won from Heather Hardy. She hadn't been in the ring since then. She looked good. She looked sharp. She looked smooth. Daniela Bermudez is no walkover, but obviously she's a smaller fighter. Of course, what happened was Amanda Serrano caught her with a left-right combination to the body. And she got her to the liver. I think it was the liver shot that actually was a delayed reaction she had, even though she got hit in the spleen as well. I think the liver shot was the shot that really did her in, and she was stopped in the 9th round. And it was a good, very competitive, pretty competitive fight. Even though Serrano was winning most of the rounds, I thought that Bermudez was competitive for each round. Another thing, and she never stopped throwing. And even though Amanda Serrano started off dictating, and she was actually walking Bermudez down, Bermudez got the angles and stuff, and she started walking down Serrano. So it was pretty good. What can I say about Amanda Serrano? A legend. She's a legend in the sport. Okay. And this is just another notch in her legendary status. In addition, I want to just say that kudos to her on being able to go through all those different weight classes, up and down weight, and still do a thing. You know what I mean? Because she was going to face, I believe she was going to face, what's her name? That's the fight that fell through. I forgot what her name is right now. But the Irish girl, she's going to face her, I think it was a lightweight? Super lightweight or lightweight. That's crazy. Amanda Serrano, man. All right, so that was one of the fights that happened this weekend. Another fight that happened this weekend was Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin, right? And from the get-go, Dillian Whyte dictated the fight. He dictated from the get-go, and he had mean intentions. He was like, I'm going to get your ass out of there. And he stayed behind the stick, maintained his range and distance, worked the body when he could. The stick was very effective. And as a result of that, he got Alexander Povetkin out of there in 4 rounds because he was just breaking him down. Alexander Povetkin took a beat. And that was that. Now, most recently, Tim Tszyu just faced Dennis Hoglan. Actually faced him, I think it was either today or yesterday. Well, I guess today, early today. He faced Dennis Hoglan, and Dennis Hoglan been coming off of 3 losses, and that's not necessarily a good thing. But do understand the first loss that he had to the kid who's now at 160, who was the WBO champion at the time, was a loss that you could argue that he beat him, right? He fought Jamal Charlo going up to 160. He got stopped eventually. Here against Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu, this is a jump up in class to some degree, because this guy had faced 2 world champions. And so Tim Tszyu facing him was very interesting. Now, there are a couple of things I noticed. Tim Tszyu is an experience I saw in certain times. When he was throwing a lot of punches, he was tiring himself out a bit. He got headbutted a couple of times by Dennis Hoglan. But for the most part, I like his body work, especially his left to the liver when he did go to the liver. That's what set up the uppercut that knocked down Dennis Hoglan. Now, honestly speaking, Dennis Hoglan looked like he could have still gone on, even though he was drained. You could tell he was getting beat up really bad. And of course, Tim Tszyu is a pretty big, strong 154-pounder. He could be easily a 160-pounder. Big, strong guy. Tim Tszyu needs to work on a couple other things in his game. He doesn't always properly place his punches on the inside. I can tell, so he's got a little bit of, he still hasn't gone the long distances. He hasn't gone the long route. And so he kind of starts to not be as sharp as the fight progresses onward. So that's something for Tim Tszyu to work on. But fantastic performance for him. Obviously, he wanted to actually stop Dennis Hogan, but the fight was taken from him when the corner threw in the towel. He really wanted to finish him. You could tell he was a bit disappointed about it. But he's moving along quite well. He's moving along quite well, and I think he's going to be in line for a title shot very soon, either against the Argentinian kid or against Jermell Charlo. So we'll see which way it goes. But the Argentinian kid ain't no joke. So we'll see if Tim Tszyu can handle either one of them. That should be interesting. Anyway, in the meantime, that's basically what I have in terms of fights that have come up. There's a lot of stuff around. They're talking about Pacquiao versus Terrence Crawford. They're talking about, Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo. I didn't talk about Artur Beterbiev defending his title. He did defend his title last week. So that was also a good thing. Not last week, but the week before. And, the usual run-of-the-mill rumor stuff. But I want to just talk to you guys about past versus present really quickly. And let me hear what you guys have to say about this little matchup right here. Marvin Hagler versus Jermall Charlo at 160. Who do you think will win? Remember, Jermall Charlo is like almost 6 feet tall. Marvin Hagler is about 5'9". Marvin Hagler has a decent reach. Jermall Charlo also has a decent reach. Both guys are guys who like to, jab and fight from mid-range. So who do you think would win between those two guys? Jermall Charlo versus Marvin Hagler. What you guys say? I'd like to hear in your comment section. If you guys want to also join this, join up as a guest on here, what you do is simple. You just simply click the link that I just show you on the screen right here, and you can pop in as a guest if you want to, but do mute your mic. Mute your mic and be respectful, and we can roll with that. Otherwise, I'm going to be out of here in the next couple of seconds. I've been mostly on my other channel talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League. You guys don't know about the Snyder Cut by now. I don't know where you guys been. You've been living under a rock, but that's the movie that we push for as fans, and we got it. So I'm gonna talk to you guys later. Before I go though, if you guys are not gonna jump in here and X, Y, and Z, I'm gonna pop out of here real quick. But past versus present, Marvin Hagler versus Jermall Charlo. What can I say about this? Well, Jermall Charlo is an excellent 160 pounder. Marvin Hagler was an excellent, great, legendary boxer. Unfortunately, he's dead now. I think though that it depends. If you're talking same day weigh-ins, this fight would never happen because Jermall Charlo would be too dry to face Marvin Hagler. But if you're talking about putting Marvin Hagler into Jermall Charlo's shoes this day and this time, I think Marvin would be too small for Jermall, but you never know. You never know because Marvin Hagler could switch hit and all that kind of stuff. He had pretty decent reach, about 75-inch reach. So you never know. All right. That's a matchup that I think I need to see more of Jermall Charlo in his career for me to really assess and say, hey, could Jermall Charlo take Marvin Hagler? Probably even stop him. I don't know. But I can tell you this. Marvin Hagler's name has much more cachet than Jermall Charlo. Let's just put it that way. But until we know, Jermall Charlo's faced some pretty good competition. But I would like to see him face David Benavidez. Then I'll be able to let you guys know just how good that fight is. And that's another rumor that Jermall Charlo and David Benavidez looks like they're trying to make that fight happen. So we'll see what happens with that. Until then, I am what you need. Unless you guys say something, make a comment, I'm out of here. You guys didn't seem to miss me, and that's okay. Peace. I'm out. I'm going to catch you guys later.